When my brother and I were little children, we spent our days with Grandma and Grandpa Springer. Our parents worked in factories, my mom as an admin assistant and my dad as a union electrician. Back in those days, there weren't any daycare centers, so if the mom was not a stay-at-home mom, then Grandma was usually the caregiver. And in our case, it was Grandma Springer. I remember doing many things with Grandma Springer. I remember walking downtown with her when she would go from shop to shop talking to the cobbler and the butcher and the grocer in German. I remember trundling back to the house carrying the groceries because Grandma didn't drive. I remember cooking cherry pies with the cherries from the tree in the backyard. I remember painting furniture with her. I remember going to the Five and Dime and picking out fabric for aprons. Grandma was a smart lady and a very crafty person as far as home economics, and I learned a lot of my home skills from her. But one thing I never did with Grandma was read a book. You see, my grandparents weren't stupid people, but they were not educated people either. Grandpa went to the 6th grade, and then he had to quit and go to work in the sandstone quarries and learn to be a blacksmith. Grandma went to the 8th grade, and then she had to quit, and she went to Lorraine and worked for a rich family as a maid. So you see, I grew up in a household where reading to children didn't happen, really. My parents were busy. My grandparents really didn't read very well. So I think there's a lot of little kids in Tucson who are in the same boat. They're in families where their parents or maybe their grandparents who are their caregivers are speaking different languages. I grew up speaking and hearing a mix of German and English together and never knew that it wasn't just English. Just a few weeks ago, there was a story that said that 1,400 third graders were being held back because they couldn't read English and they didn't pass a high-stakes test for reading. That's an abomination. Those little kids didn't fail that test. The system failed those little kids. When I got to school, I was a horribly slow reader. It was scary for me to read aloud because I knew my skills were not what the other students had. And it really wasn't until recently that I realized part of the problem was probably that I was grown up in a household where multiple languages were spoken and where there was nobody reading to us. How many little kids in Arizona are in the same boat? 33% of children in Arizona who are getting free or reduced lunch are not meeting English reading proficiency. 20% of children in Arizona schools have parents who are not fluent in English. Those two statistics obviously go together. Why are we so surprised that our children can't read when there's so many parents who don't speak or read English very well? We need to take a broader view of education in this state. We need to not just focus on public school students and why they're not achieving. We need to look at families. We need to look at the age, the range of education across the ages. So yes, we need all-day kindergarten. We need subsidized preschool for little children. We need to fully fund public education. We need reading tutors and librarians. But we also need literacy training for adults. If we can help these parents become fluent in speaking and reading English, they will be able to help their children. Right now, many of them can't. My name is Pamela Powers Hanley. I'm running for the Arizona House to serve for LD9 in Tucson. I'm running as a clean elections candidate and a progressive. I hope that you will consider voting for me on August 30th in the primary and again in November, on November 8th in the general election. Together, we can build a stronger Arizona for future generations. Help me help families thrive. Put me in the Arizona legislature. Thank you.